Okay, looks like we are live at the top of the hour. Hey, welcome everybody to the January Metaphysical Chat. So delighted that you could join me. And we're just going to kind of tap dance a little bit here until a few people show up and bring some questions. Hopefully you'll have some really engaging questions tonight. Challenge us and make it fun. So if you haven't already seen, there's been some really interesting messages coming forth of late from Metatron. There was the peace process that's both on Medium and on YouTube. You can see that in either place if you like to read or if you like to watch videos. I just posted today the 2020, no, gosh, I'm behind, aren't I? The 2022 predictions for the year from Metatron on Medium. I did talk about that on the live stream that we did Saturday for the new year, but it has a little more added to it, and I will be putting up a new video of that soon so that you have the whole cohesive message in one place. And then I've got the January 2022 message that will be going on Medium shortly. So if you guys are looking for that, that's where it's at. Hey, I see people popping into chat now. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Charlene, Spiritually You, Susan. You have a question? Awesome. Well, take it away, Susan. What's your question? I'm excited to find out. I was just tap dancing a little bit as you guys were arriving to talk about the things that are coming up. And I just mentioned that the 2022 predictions from Metatron are now available on Medium, and I will be putting them on YouTube soon. So if you like to read, there's a link for you. I just popped into chat. You can do that later. I also, after we get off of the live stream, I'm going to be posting a link on the community tab about an interview that I did with a friend of mine who's a spiritual healer. We had a fabulous talk about metaphysical things and channeling. So that's going to be premiering on the 13th of January, 1:30 p.m. So I'm going to put the trailer that she created up on the community tab after we finish tonight, and you can take a look at the trailer and then hopefully join us. We're going to, both of us, be there live to answer your questions in chat when that premiere happens. So that will be fun, and that's something I haven't done before. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, let's see. You posted your question above my yellow marker. Okay. I see it says I have a question, but I don't, oh, here it is. It just popped in. Thanks, Susan. Okay, so Susan has a question. As a reader of the records, I'm still seeing many who are not familiar with them. Do you see the records growing in popularity? Oh, absolutely, Susan. It's why I wrote my book in 2017, because I was getting out there and I was sharing with people about the records, and so many people had these blank faces. What is that? And that's a tragedy, because my gosh, it's your user manual, it's your birthright. We all need to have it because it's got so much valuable information that can help us to lead a more spiritually fulfilled life, to get onto our purpose and to just, do our expansive journey. So yeah, I think everybody needs to know about them. And since then, that's been my mission, is getting the word out to people. And now Metatron has kind of shifted things a little bit with all this prophecy of Earthtopia thing, but behind it is still letting people know about the records, that they exist. And here's all this wonderful information that you can tap into. So you are coming on board with your class at a perfect time, because more and more people are awakening, becoming aware, and asking questions. So there's a great need. Yeah, so I'm excited for you to bring that course online and let people know about it. Hi, Nina, Harry's mom, Stephanie, Gwen, Gina. Awesome. And Susan says, yeah, their eyes gloss over when you talk about it. Yeah, I know. And it is much better than it was, though, back in 2017. So at least there's that. And the other thing, one of the, I guess to us, it's an unexpected blessing, but not to them. They had this all planned. The pandemic has caused more people to reach out for spiritual comfort, knowledge, understanding, whatever they can get. So if we're there to share that love and light with them, then they're going to glom onto it and, take a beat and join the the rest of us as we move forward on our journey. So that's been, you know, one of the side benefits, if you can find a benefit. Hi, Magnolia Spiritual House. Great you're here. Dog Walker, Valerie. Awesome. So Valerie, tonight is a metaphysical chat. I'm not doing personal questions. So come to my third Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. That's anything goes. All your personal questions are welcome. And we do that on Zoom, so I can actually see you and we can go back and forth, which is a way more efficient means. But this one also serves a purpose too, because, you know, some people don't want to go on Zoom, and it just gives us a different way to connect. So I'm happy to do them both. So let me pop that link in for you, Valerie. If you will go to this link and sign up, you will get an email from me with the Zoom link so that you can join us on the third Saturday and bring those personal questions. Love to have you there. So Susan, you're going to have a small group for the class and it's under construction. That's perfect, you know, to start out with a little group to test it out, figure out where you're going to smooth things out. Yeah, you know this. You're a pro teacher. You can be doing master classes, so it'll be really awesome. In fact, you know, maybe you want to bill it if you haven't already thought about this as a master class, because that just, you know, there's a play on words with the master class, right? That could be really cool. So something to think about. Janet, welcome. How important are the records for the average person? Well, okay, Janet, you got to realize I'm prejudiced. I think everybody needs to know about them, and they are vitally important, because how are you going to know what your purpose is? How are you going to know if you're on track? And it's through your records that you can connect with your angels to get all this information. And by doing it through the records, as opposed to just, you know, connecting with whatever's out there, you can trust the source of the information. That's huge. And I know for myself, I don't worry about whether it's true or not, because if I'm connected to the records, it's true. It's coming from the angels and guides. But if I were just doing a channel and saying, hey, who's out there that wants to talk to me, I would have no idea. So the records are important for so many reasons, but mostly it's because that is your encyclopedia. It's your user manual. Everything about you is in there. So a while back, I did a video and an article on repeating patterns. You may or may not have seen that, but somebody was asking whether addictions can be past life issues, and then they're repeating patterns showing up in successive lifetimes. And yeah, absolutely, that can be. So that was part of that article. And so from that perspective, how would you learn about where the issue originated if you couldn't go to your Akashic records? You can also look in your records to find out who in your present life you have past life connections with. That's phenomenal, because you can untangle the threads of how you're connected to these people. And you might find out that in one life you were married, in another you were, you know, parent and child, and in another, you know, you could have been siblings. It's all kinds of permutations. Sometimes you were friends, different sexes and different relationships. Like I discovered over a period of time, it's funny, I wasn't asking for it, but as I'm connecting, they'll occasionally just give me this little story that'll pop in. So 3 different instances they showed me of lifetimes where I was with my best friend in this present lifetime. And it just helped me to understand that deep connection that we've had since we met. Neither one of us really understood what that was about. We were married in 2 different lifetimes, and she died in my arms in probably at least 1, maybe 2. The second one wasn't clear. And then there was a third one. I'm forgetting what those details were. But yeah, so it's important for learning more about yourself and about how you be in the world, how you can be more of what you came here to be. Because, you know, we each came here, our soul, with this big agenda to accomplish. And without the records, we can get a little bit lost. So we can connect with our records to help stay on that path and to get a bigger perspective on why we're here. Because for all of us, you know, we're talking about this a lot now. It's not just our personal soul journey, it's how we're connected to the whole. And that's equally important. So yeah, hugely important for everybody, Janet. So for all of you, as you feel led, just share with people about the records, because User manual. You should have always had it. Imagine if you'd had it when you were a child and you grew up understanding yourself at that deep soul level. How might that have changed the trajectory of your life? It would be phenomenal. And one time I was at this, it's kind of like a street fair, and I had a booth set up. I was doing readings. So I got this mom and her 3 young daughters came. So we're doing readings for all of them. And the one little girl, I looked at her and I said, I'll bet people tell you that you talk too much. Her eyes got really big. She's like, yeah. And so I explained to her that her soul matrix was wired to be a communicator. Talking too much is part of who she is. So for people like her who might grow up in a family or, school, whatever, and they're always trying to shut her down because she's talking too much and they see that as disruptive, she would understand it's part of how she's wired. It's natural for her. And then she could learn how to channel it a little more appropriately, using it in a powerful way instead of just, blasting all over the place. So just imagine knowing that kind of stuff as a kid, because so many people I meet when I do soul introductions, the very thing that is their gift, that is their golden ticket in the world to fully express themselves, to find love, success, whatever it is that they're looking for. So many instances, it's seen as a shortcoming and it's suppressed. They're shut down. And then they've got to go through years and years trying to figure out what the problem is and to open back up again. So we could save all of that angst and just get there faster. So it's mammoth. Susan, your friend works in a metaphysical bookstore and she says they're super busy with young folks. Oh, that's wonderful. Love hearing that. However, those kids are hearing about it, great. More of them should come because now is the time. As we're moving forward towards Earthtopia, we need those kids to get on board and help us move this thing further, faster. So there's like a disconnect with, I think, a lot of people in the middle. The people who are showing up to watch my videos tend to be 55 and older, primarily women. So a lot of retired women who have time now to devote to expanding their soul. And that's beautiful. And we can be the leaders, but we need to get those young ones on board too. So that's just phenomenal. Valerie says, thank you. Great. Hi, warrior girl. Great you could be here. Susan says, hugs and thank you. You are so welcome. Always delighted to have you with us. And you're going to do level 2 as a masterclass. That's beautiful. So excited for you, Susan. You're really stepping into the fullness of your soul journey. Isn't that amazing and marvelous? And you might think like I did, it's like, whoa, if I had only learned this sooner, because now I'm getting it, in the later chapters of life. But it's like, no, we weren't ready before. We're ready now. And the world probably wasn't ready either. So now we can actually get out there and do it more fully and give it everything we've got, with others coming along to help us. So it's going to be beautiful, very exciting. And Gina says, yeah, I need to learn to connect with the records. Gina, are you in the 21-day meditation challenge? Because if you're not, join us there, and that will help you to connect with your records faster. That's the whole purpose. That's why Metatron created that 21-day challenge, because you spend 15 minutes a day making that commitment, doing your little meditation. You may get nothing, you may get a lot. Some days you get a little, a lot, or nothing. It varies, but it's the point of going through the exercise that expands your awareness of how you connect with your guides, how they connect with you, learning how to hear them. And by sharing experiences with the others in the group, you learn that things that you probably dismissed are actually your guides and angels. So you pick up on those things faster, move into that communication sooner. And it's just such an amazing journey. And we had somebody posting today about it, yet another breakthrough. So it keeps coming. I had several breakthroughs myself during the experience that we did as a group together. And I think part of that is that collective energy just lifted everybody up to a higher level than we would have been on our own, which is why that group is so important. So if you're not there already, please join us and get that expansion going so that you can hear your angels, because they're talking to you all the time. A funny story, you guys. I forget. Oh, I think it was was it the past life addictions? I don't know. It was one of the past life videos I did recently. I got a comment the other day from somebody saying, Archangel Metatron doesn't talk to just anybody, and angels don't just talk to anybody, and they're not telling people to buy their book. I just had to laugh at this person. I mean, I feel sorry because obviously they don't understand, because their angels are talking to them all the time. They're just not hearing them. Angels are not prejudiced. They help everybody. They're out there working their behinds off, trying to be heard, to serve us. It's incumbent upon us to bridge that gap, but they will help us in any way they can. So, sadly for this person, because they have that belief that angels won't talk to just anybody, of course, meaning them, then it probably won't happen for them. But, the possibility still exists. The angels will never give up on us. So if we don't get it in this lifetime, we get it in another. That's good to always remember, and stop beating up on ourselves, because we really are doing the best that we can. And they are there helping us every step of the way. Hi, Aaron Mist. I don't recall seeing you before. Welcome. So glad to have you here. Warrior Girl asked, do the Akashic records contain all lifetimes here on Earth and abroad? Yes, everything. So when you were first created as a soul, and you might have heard me say this before, but for the new people, I'll repeat the story. In my head, I kind of see it like Creator standing before this great ocean of energy with a soup ladle. And one ladle comes out and it's your gift. Another ladle comes out and it's your soul tribe, which is your planet of origination. Another ladle comes out and that is your soul specialty. Those three aspects of yourself make up your soul, plus your gender, because you get a soul gender when you come. That can change in successive lifetimes. You can bounce back and forth, but your soul always stays the same gender. It's only the body that changes. So those three aspects of who you are there forever, from the time you were created until the very end, which, as far as I know, there is no end, because we are eternal, right? We are energy, we never die. So yeah, always there. And the whole thing is, you think, wow, well, you mean I have these same gifts and I'm doing the same thing every lifetime? Then why am I not better at it by now? Well, because it takes a long time. We can go through dozens of lifetimes just trying to work on one particular issue. And remember, people were not as enlightened as they are now. The energy has shifted. We are accelerating our progress. There is a measurement that we do on the frequency of your soul, your energetic frequency. And most people are in the 5.0 to 6.0 range right now. So in past lifetimes, some were even in the 4s in past lifetimes, but most of us now at this point have 5th dimensional awareness. That's what that means. So most of us are, either the low or moving up. And each lifetime before this, we might have only moved up 1 or 2 tenths on that scale. This lifetime, I'm doing readings for people, and I always measure that, because I need to know where they're at to help them, at the highest level, even though I don't always tell them, because it can confuse people, but that's beside the fact. So I always measure that to help me know where they're at. And I have been astonished in the last few years to see people who have jumped up 4 or 5, even 6 tenths in one lifetime, because that's the acceleration we're going through right now. It's so exciting. And some people actually have reached 6th dimensional awareness, and they're measuring in the low 6s now, which is just phenomenal. And that's just going to keep continuing, because there are way more dimensions for us to raise our frequency and awareness of and access. Aaron Miss, connecting with records for the first time. When connecting with a guide, what kinds of questions should we prepare to ask? Beginner's questions. Anything. Aaron Miss, the sky is the limit. They don't care. They will be happy to answer anything for you. Now, for your own sake, I would keep it simple, because the truth is, when you start connecting and asking questions like that, what you get, because of your own blocks, right? Your own, you're toning the muscle. You're not quite there where you can have that fluid conversation as a beginner. So what you're going to get is going to come through in dribs and drabs. Be aware that you might feel things in your body that you'll need to interpret. You might see things, you might hear things, And when I say hear, it's probably not going to be audible like you hear here in the third dimension. It's probably going to be hearing it in your head, right? So there's all kinds of ways you can receive this information. And then you have to learn how to interpret it. That's the other piece of it. That takes a lot of practice. And that's another good reason to join us in the 21-day challenge, because you can share what you're getting and ask for help in interpreting. Now, I usually recommend, especially for beginners, when you get something like they show you a picture of a creature or a tree or, whatever, that just comes to your awareness. And it's like, oh, I see it now and I didn't see it before. Look up on Google the meaning, the symbolism, try to get all those details so that you can dive deeper to figure out what it's all about. And always write it down, because if you don't fully understand it today, you will in the future. And it may require more pieces coming to you in future conversations. And as those pieces come together, then you have a greater understanding of what they were trying to tell you. I was doing a meditation one day, and I had this meditation about, they showed me this whole story. It was me as a retired lady living in this little cottage by myself. It looked like I was an old maid. And all of a sudden, this stork comes to the door and brings me a baby. Bam, there's a baby. What am I supposed to do with this baby? And why is this baby coming to me? Well, these lawyers showed up and they explained to me that I was the only living relative of this child who had a trust fund. And she had been sent to me to take care of, and there would be plenty of money to support her, blah, blah, blah. They kind of dropped her off and ran. I didn't have any time to think about this. Truth is, I probably would have taken her anyway, because, women are taught to just do that without really thinking. We are the caretakers, the nurturers. So I took this little girl in, I raised her. We had kind of a fractious relationship as she hit her teens. Then she went away to college, and she kind of ghosted me for a long time. One day she showed up on my doorstep with her own little girl, who was probably 2 or 3 at that point. And we started catching up. She moved in with me because she had split with the father and needed some support. And as we talked and got to know each other again, it came out from her that she had always thought I took her for the money and resented me. The money had nothing to do with it. I loved her and I raised her as my own at that point. So then I got to tell stories about the mommy to the little girl, and we started our own relationship, which was quite beautiful. So I got this story and I'm like, okay, that's really cool, but why are you showing me this? What the heck am I supposed to do with it? I hadn't a clue. So then later I get in the car, I'm driving down the mountain, and it was like, bam, you didn't have to take her. Somebody else could have raised her. It was a choice. And by making that choice, you altered the course of your life in a way that perhaps didn't best serve you. So it was really causing me to stop and think about choices and obligation. We've talked a lot about that on these live streams, about when you take on obligation, the universe says, hey, you want more obligation? I'll bring it to you. And you're creating that karma. So it was just to wake me up to think about choices more and the ramifications of choices. Because guess what? This little girl grew up believing that I took her for the money. She had kind of a miserable period of time, and it probably altered the course of her life as well. What if I had said, no, I'm not prepared to take a child. Please find her a good home. And then she had gone to a home where she was loved and raised by younger parents who could be more involved with her. And she knew that they chose her. How might that have changed the story? So this was a huge thing they dumped on me that took a long time to really filter through and figure out what it was all about. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that can come through. And if I hadn't written all that down, I wouldn't have made all the connections that came later. So it's really important, you guys, to write it down. Hope that makes sense. So Janet asked, how do we get our manual? Janet, the way I do it is through meditation. That's the easiest way for me to do it. I think it is for most people, but you can also do it. I use my pendulum a lot when we do these calls. So you can ask yes or no questions of your records with a pendulum. That's another way of doing it. You can use your body, you can do the body dowsing kinds of things as well. But those are the 2 ways that I'm aware of. Probably the most effective. What you want to do is use some kind of a prayer to set your intention to access your records. It can be as simple as activate Akashic records. Although if you're brand new, I wouldn't start there. That's something that's a little more advanced that you can do once you've been connecting for a while, and you can just go in and out fluidly. In the beginning, it's good to do a little meditation to get yourself into that energy, and then set your intention to connect with your records. Say that little prayer if you have one, and I have one, that you can get from my, I think it's on my website, or if not, email me and I'll send it to you. We've talked about that a lot on these chats and videos, so you'll find the link all over the place. But that's one thing you can do. It's also in my book. So that prayer is a good place to start. You can write your own. You can find others. There are many out there. You might be familiar with Linda Howe's prayer, I forget the pathway prayer, she calls it. I used that one for a while when I first started. So just those tools will help you get in the door. Once you get in the door, let go of your expectations. Just be there in a receiving energetic state, allowing them to share. Now you can ask questions, but in the very beginning, it's so hard to hear the answers because you've got that egoic block going on that will mock you and tell you that you're making the whole thing up. So in the beginning, if you start small with the questions and then build upon that, baby steps, you don't have to go jumping over a chasm. It will happen, but you do need to tone that muscle, and then it becomes quite fluid. So I've been doing this a number of years now, and I can pop in and out rather quickly without a lot of preparation, but it wasn't always that way. There would be times where I could sit there for a half an hour and get nothing, or get this a munch. So it just takes a lot of practice and dedication. But if you show up, your team will show up, and they will do everything they can to help you. That's a fact from the Akashic records. So, hey, if you guys haven't hit the thumbs up, please give me a thumbs up. That would be really appreciated. Let's see. Gina says that would have been helpful to know that information as a child. Yeah, absolutely. And, I foresee the day, Gina, when we are all more awakened and parents will either do the reading themselves or get a reading done, find out what their child's gifts, specialty, and tribe are. They will have that information. They can have their own little written manual, 3D manual, if you will, and they will raise that child with that understanding, helping them to step into their gift. There's one of the gifts is the truth teller. Those kids have such a rough time because they are wired to just see the truth and speak the truth. It's not pretty. It's not diplomatic. It just blurts out. So part of their challenge is using their gift. They have to speak the truth if they're compelled to. They're the whistleblowers very often in society. But if they were raised as a child to understand this is your gift and it's okay to tell the truth, but for your own sake, you need to learn to speak that truth in words that can be heard. Because if they're not heard, they get very frustrated. They can get off track. They can get bitter and shut down and stop telling the truth. So it's such a service to them if that gift could be nurtured. And I know that day is coming. It's going to be a whole new world. Probably that's going to be part of Earthtopia, I would imagine. We may even have that as part of their curriculum as children, that, they come with all that information already there. And then their teachers, parents, spiritual advisors, whomever is there, will help them to understand who they are at soul level. So they'll just be doing it all of their lives. It will be just amazing. Spiritually, you says, I always get into trouble when I talk too much. Yeah, that often is the case with the communicators because they just talk and talk and talk. And if they don't understand how their gift works, it can turn into diarrhea of the mouth kind of thing where people shut them down and don't listen. And for them, that's also very frustrating because using your gift, you need to be validated and recognized. That's this energetic feedback loop that you have when you use your gift. So not getting that is very frustrating and can cause you to shut down, pull away, retract, all of those things. They're just not helpful. And Susan says, talking is a gift for those who've been told they talked too much in school. Timing was perfect for both of us. And thank you. Yeah, you're so welcome. As a teacher, you probably saw that a lot and maybe even related to it, having that same feeling yourself. But yeah. And for the other gifts, they get shut down in their own ways, the very sensitive ones. Some of them just pull away from the world, shut down, don't fully live their lives because it's too painful. It's just like they're big walking wounds. They've got all this noisy energy coming at them that is just so debilitating. And, it's like they're living their lives cowered in the fetal position. It doesn't have to be that way. You were never intended to be victimized by your gift. So for all of us, it's about learning to use that gift in the most expansive, empowered way. And life is just so much sweeter and blissful when you can do that. And that's what we want for everybody. And that's what your angels want for you. So Gina says, you don't have the book yet. Yeah, that's okay. Get the book. The links are all in there. Join us. The prayer is in there. I have both an opening and a closing prayer in the book. By the way, I'll just mention that in case others don't know about it. It's recommended, at least in the beginning, that you do a closing prayer. So you do an opening, you open the energy of the records, and you access all that information. And then when you're done, you do the little closing prayer just to, disconnect energetically so that you can stay grounded and stay on the earth with the rest of us. But as you move forward, you may find you don't need the closing prayer, or you might find you don't need the opening. You find something else that works for you. Whatever works for you. It's always about feeling your way through the experience, making choices that feel the best for you, because you are the arbiter of your life. And when I say making choices, here's something I'll insert. Do that through your solar plexus. Don't do it through your head. That's ego. That will take you off track. In your solar plexus, you have this built-in compass that Creator gave to all of us. So we were designed to feel our way through life, making choices on what feels best in our solar plexus. So each time you're faced with choices, if you stop and run that choice, feel it through your solar plexus, and then choose the one that feels the very best, you will find life flows so much easier. And you don't get into so much trouble because ego is leading you astray. So that's a super powerful thing to understand about yourself. And again, it's true of everybody. So that's something all of you guys can share with other people who are struggling. Just that little bit of information can make a huge difference in people's lives. They don't need all the rest of the information, but if they get that little kernel and start doing that, it can transform their life and then open them up perhaps to learn more. Susan says the 21 day was awesome. She loved it. Yeah, I loved you being there. You're just a natural leader and you brought this really lovely energy, Susan. So it was a blessing that you could join us. Warrior girl, you think of them as lost sheep and you send them on their path with love. Yeah, that's perfect. There are a lot of lost sheep out there, sadly. So many people who aren't connected yet. Maybe they've started to awaken, but they're not far enough along to know what to even connect to. And they're just, kind of going in circles looking for a purpose and meaning. That's where we can help them out, if they're open to hearing, of course, because we never want to force it on people. But when they're open, yeah, absolutely. We can encourage them to reach out their hands and take the hands of their angelic guides to help lead them forward. Those times when they're so scared and they're shut down, they close their eyes and just frozen with fear. That's the time to reach out to the angels and let them guide you forward. Because the longer you're stuck, the worse it gets, the more shut down you get. And life gets really bad in a hurry when you shut down your energy that way. So for all of us, we are being called to be present in the moment, to have that awareness that when life starts feeling really crappy or stuck energy, that is a clue that we need to look around, see where we're not making a choice, make the best one, and get moving forward. Because being stuck shuts down all of your energy, your manifestations. It's a miserable place to be. And the longer you're there, the harder it is to get out. So first, knowing that you're there and then taking action to get out is super important. And then write it down so that you'll remember those details. Then in the future, when you have a bad day and you're feeling like, I'm never going to get this, I'm a failure, you can go look at your journal and you can see all the times you did get it. You can say, yeah, doing better than I thought I was. That's super important, because we can lose track of that as we move forward on our ascension journey. We forget how far we've come. Never want to forget how far you've come, because you need to be cognizant of that, to have that gratitude. That's important too. But also the appreciation of yourself for how far you have come. And then you can bask in that wonderful energy, which opens the door for more to come in. Aaron Mist, you watch regularly, but usually not live. And when you do watch, it's often as a lurker or under your personal name. Yeah, I understand. I used to be a horrible lurker myself, because, the stuff goes so fast. It's really hard to keep up with it anyway. But, I was shy and I didn't feel like sharing things about myself with other people. And yet I liked reading their stories and knowing about them. And, it really came home to me. This was way back in the days before the internet. We had these bulletin board systems. They were the precursors of the internet, and they came through the colleges. So I was tapped into the Cleveland University bulletin board system, that all the people in my computer group were also tapped into that. So we had this bulletin board where we could chat, and it was the whole line kind of interface where you're just typing the lines and you see the lines and then the next person. So one day I was talking to this lady who I had been following her on these bulletin board threads, and I commented about something she had shared in one of those threads. And she looked at me and she says, I don't remember telling you about that. And it was then it hit me, oh my gosh, that's kind of stalkerish, isn't it? Not to contribute, to let people know that you're there. And yet you're soaking up all this energy, but you're not sharing. That's kind of an imbalance that needs to change. So that lesson has stayed with me since the 90s. And I've really tried to be a more active participant ever since then. Of course, I had no idea Metatron was going to grab me and pull me into this melee that we're in right now, where it's like, whoa, no holds barred, sharing like crazy, everything that's going on. But that's just what I've been called to do, and it's important. So just dip your toe in the water a little bit, share a little bit that you feel comfortable with, see how that goes, and then maybe do a little bit more. Because if you think about it, you enjoy hearing other people's shares. So why wouldn't they enjoy hearing yours? And you have something to contribute. You have these amazing, beautiful gifts and specialties. You've got wisdom to share. So why not share it? It might expand you in ways that you never imagined. That may be what your soul has been waiting for. So give it a try. And I'm glad you're here live today. Thank you. Warrior Girl, thank you for answering. You appreciate it. You're so welcome. And she's welcoming you, Aaron Mist. Susan, you always ask what is present for you and if there are issues that you don't understand, asking for clarity and what is really happening. Yeah, that's perfect. And you're probably getting a whole lot of information because you're so tuned in. But yeah, there just really are no wrong questions. Sometimes it's good just to go there and just feel in your solar plexus and see what percolates. What do you want to ask about? There are times when I show up for my meditation and nothing's coming. It's just quiet. And I've got my hands on the keyboard because I type whatever I get. That's how I'm able to keep up and record everything. So if I'm not getting anything, I'll just start typing the questions that are popping through my mind until the conversation begins. And that has proven to be a really excellent practice for me. That's helped a lot. So, as you're sitting there waiting in that meditative state for answers to come through, all sorts of things pop into your head. So don't worry about it. Instead of fighting with them or thinking, oh no, I'm doing it wrong, type whatever comes through your head. It's like you're priming the pump when you do that. And eventually the conversation picks up and then you start getting your answers. So try that and see how it feels for you. Gina, you ordered the books, but you won't get them till the 10th. Yeah. Send me an email, Gina, and I'll get you the links. You can get in and get started now. Yeah, there's no need to wait. So the sooner you do this, the better, because there's a lot that's coming at us every day right now. So we are all kind of scrambling to get caught up, to stay balanced and go with the flow. So the sooner the better. Absolutely. Susan is signing off. She's got a big delivery of furniture and has to be ready. You are so welcome. I'm just delighted to have you here for as long as you can be. Good luck with that furniture. Okay, lots of greetings to Susan. Warrior Girl says, yes, being a truth teller is a blessing and a curse. It's a hard balance to maintain, and the whole shoot the messenger thing. Yeah. So have you ever been in a situation, Warrior Girl, where you knew something and you felt like you had to be the whistleblower and bring it to light? Because that seems to be a commonality that truth tellers have to face. And it's very, very difficult for them. And yet, it's how you're wired. So you really can't fight against it. It's just a matter of figuring out how best to share the information so that it doesn't blow up on you and that it becomes productive. Hi, Beverly. Happy New Year. Thanks for being here. Okay. I'm not seeing a lot of questions, you guys. So if you got more, pile them in there. Anything metaphysical we can talk about. And Callista says it's your first live chat, sorry. You were working second shift and never able to attend. Lovely to meet others and to be reminded of the tools, and you feel like you're stuck in a hole. Yeah, I feel that, Callista. I've been there many times. So the first thing is the awareness of being there. And then you can look around at what are the choices available to you. Pick something. If you can't narrow it down to one, narrow it down to just a few, flip a coin, pick one and go. And then after a little while, stop and evaluate that choice. Are you happy with it? Is it working? And if it is, great, keep going. But if it's not, change course. You don't have to keep going down a path that doesn't serve you. A lot of times we get stuck in that because we have all of this societal program about commitments and follow through and responsibility. It doesn't serve our soul. So if you've made a commitment, it's not working out, and you can feel it's not serving your soul, then the sooner you get out of that, the better. No matter what anybody says, because the most important thing is honoring your soul. Other things can go by the wayside. And, sometimes they'll tell you those things, but you have to ask yourself, is that really true? Do I have to? And so very often it's not true. It's just somebody else making it uncomfortable for you to say no. And that's about them, not about you. Janet, why are we so hard on ourselves? It's ego, and it's society's programming. We were taught to have all these responsibilities to take care, especially women, we were taught to be people pleasers, to take care of everybody before ourselves. That is so wrong. If you don't take care of yourself, you get depleted and you have less to give with the world, or you end up, dying from it because you did too much, didn't take care of you. You've always got to fill your own chalice first. Make sure your tank is filled to overflowing. And then you share that abundance with the world in whatever way you choose. So the being hard on yourself is that whole self-esteem thing that many of us struggled with. And I want you to know, essentially, Creator says that's crap. It's just not true. Creator says you are perfect, magnificent, brilliant, and resplendent. And you will be more so in the future. You're moving towards higher levels of perfection. But if Creator says right now you're already all that, how can you think or say anything unkind to yourself? Because you're contradicting God, right? And when you think about it that way, you realize, oh my gosh, do I really want to have an argument with God about how unworthy I am? And now when you get to that and you think about it, wow, where did that unworthy thing come from? That was taught in various religions to control people. It had nothing to do with your soul journey. It was all to do with controlling you so that you could be used in whatever fashion served the people who came up with all that stuff. And that's why Creator says it's crap. We don't have to listen to that anymore. It's just not true. But it does take time to peel away those layers, stop believing that. Even believing that we have to do things the hard way. That's pride. And pride doesn't serve us at all. Why do we have to do things the hard way? The angel says, what are you, crazy? Why would you do it the hard way when we're here to help you do it the easy way? You get no brownie points for doing it the hard way. In fact, you ding yourself, right? You're taking away points because you're slowing yourself down and you're miserable. It's interfering with your blissful soul journey. So when you look at things and you say, wow, I can do it the easy way or I can do it the hard way, choose the easy way. Do yourself a favor. Be in the flow. We always want to be cognizant of, where am I not in the flow? How can I fix it so I get in the flow? Last year, all year long, Metatron was talking about being in the flow. Flow and ease, those were the watchwords for the year. So this year it's expansion. So we did that whole year of flow and ease. Now we've kind of gotten into the jive of that. So now we can expand. So for all of us, we're working on expansion. And of course, that's part of the path to Earthtopia, that expansion, flowing into it and then expanding. So it's really exciting what's happening. And just know 2022 is going to have its own share of bumps. It's not going to be smooth sailing. We've got a lot of stuff to get through yet, but it's going to be incrementally better as we get towards the end of the year. And then 2023 is really going to take off in a whole new direction. At least that's the forecast right now. Of course, it can change depending on, choices that we make and others make, but that's the course that we're on presently that I'm being told. So I will, of course, update you guys as soon as I get anything new, but that's the information I have at the present. Harry's mom, sometimes it's hard to know how to share. Yeah. So if I understand you correctly, it's sometimes people are going to shut you down. They're not open to hearing, and you don't want to force your beliefs on them. So what you can do is you can just, have a casual conversation with them, ask them questions that help you figure out where they are. And then maybe you drop a little nugget here and there and just watch their response. If they respond favorably, then you can gently offer some more nuggets. But it's kind of like a dance, maybe we're doing a tango with these people. That's kind of how I'm seeing it right now. So, we're doing this tango around each other and trying to share in a loving way without scaring them away. So it's something you learn over time. You just practice, and you really can't do it wrong, because if you say something that offends them, you can just apologize, back off a little bit, wait for another chance. But this is a learning experience for all of us in how we do this. So baby steps are really the best way to approach it until they ask for more, and then you can give them more. So it's kind of like, what would be the analogy for that? It's like driving your car. You're constantly putting your foot on the accelerator and the brake, right? You're adjusting all the time. So in dealing with these people, it's that kind of an adjustment. So you're watching them to see which adjustment you need to make. More accelerator, more brake. And you just keep doing that. And at the same time, what's really cool about that is you are adjusting your own sensitivity so that you will be better at it as you use it with more people. Let me know if that makes sense, Harry's mom. Warrior Girl, you had a teacher YouTube content creator thing that insists we need to wake up every morning at 4 to meditate and not eat meat in order to connect to spirit, almost in a shameful way. Wow. Oh, clarify. Well, being kind, what I can say is that's their belief system. They're entitled to it. They're sovereign souls. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't do it. To me, I would say, no way. I'm not doing that. It doesn't feel right to me. And that again is in line with those religious teachings, right? Where they have all this rigid structure. And it makes me so angry when I think about how we were taught as little children that we're these unworthy people who have to beg and grovel at the feet of God. And it's just not true. They have done us such a disservice. And now we're climbing up out of that to realize we are these beautiful, magnificent beings that have a whole heck of a lot to share with the world. And the world wants to hear what we've got to share. The world needs to hear it. So don't let people put you in a box. And if you find yourself in a box, look around and figure out what works, what doesn't work. Be very discerning. Choose the things that are best for you. Let go of those things that are not. You know, somebody put a review on the 21-day meditation book, sharing that they had gone through training with Sadhguru, this famous guy who's on YouTube sharing all this stuff. And he had to go meditate every day for some period of time for a full year, or maybe it was 6 months. I could be getting that wrong, but it was a long period of time that he had to do this before he could even start to study with Sadhguru. It's like, okay, but I don't know what purpose that served. That's probably a lot of time wasted. And like everything else, if it doesn't feel right for you, if it doesn't fit you, don't put on somebody else's shoes that don't fit you. Let them wear their own shoes. You choose the ones that fit you like a glove, that are comfortable and will allow you to get out there and get moving on your soul journey. Let me know if that makes sense. Harry's mom said there's no one way for everybody, and somebody's need meat and some don't. Absolutely. We talked about that a lot on New Year's Day. I think it was New Year's Day. We talked about that. Or maybe it was the last time we got together live. I forget. I'm sorry. They're starting to blend together. There's so many of them lately, but we did talk about that on one of the calls. And no, it's like, if they're telling you not to eat meat, what is the reason they're telling you that? Because they're living beings with consciousness? Well, so is grass. So are plants. Everything has consciousness. So if that's your excuse, how do you justify eating anything? Great, go live on air if you don't want to consume consciousness. But I can tell you, because I've asked the question, and I think it's even in the book, I asked that question of Metatron, what about eating meat? Because I knew a lot of people had that question. And Metatron says, we don't judge you for that. You consume what is good for your body. The animals don't mind. They know that's part of their life journey. Not all of them will be consumed, but some of them will, and they understand that. Just like the trees. The trees know, they're sentient beings. They know that some of them will be chopped down, burnt down, whatever, and used for people for whatever purpose. And that's part of their life journey. They know they're going to come back again. They reincarnate just like we do. So yeah, don't let people put that crap on you. Always question, is that true? If it's true for you, great. Go forth and enjoy it. But if it's not true for you, don't let somebody else put you in that straitjacket and tell you that this is true for you, because it's just not. That'll take you so far off your soul path. It'll take you a really long time to get back on, and you just don't want to go there. Harry's mom, Jesus ate meat, and that's cool with you. Yeah, years ago, well, my first marriage, my husband's mother was United Brethren and, very, very into her religion. She was the church lady, the one that Dana Carvey does. He even looked a little bit like him. But she tried to tell me that Jesus never drank wine. It was grape juice. Okay, if you want to believe that, you can. I don't know why that matters, but for some reason, probably controlling people because they didn't want them getting drunk and being out of control, they decided to spin this tale that it wasn't wine. Well, we know that it was. History shows you that it was there. They consumed it. They enjoyed it. It was healthy. So just so many fallacies out there, but it's all at the root about controlling people. So if you can dive down into that and figure out what's behind it and see that it's about controlling, that will open your eyes in so many amazing ways. You'll have a greater understanding, which then you can share with other people, because all of us need to break free of that control, that it's essentially an enslavement of sorts. It's like when they had the feudal colonies back in the Middle Ages, there were serfs and feuds, and it didn't serve all of the people. It only served the ones in power, and they used them. So we're past that now. We're sovereign souls. It's all about leaning into being a sovereign soul. making your own empowered choices, doing more, being more. And it's so amazing and blissful when you do that. So yeah, just keep doing more of that. Warrior Girl, it's sad. Almost third density, like nobody can access other than through them, like organized religion. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It comes in a lot of different forms and shapes. And look at the QAnon people, what they're doing. They've just so brainwashed these people. They can't see what's right in front of their faces. It's really tragic, but it's a choice they made. They'll either come out of it or they won't. That's totally up to them. And again, if they don't get it this time, they'll get it next time. So there's always another chance. Yeah, definitely the people we don't need to listen to, Harry's mom. And she also said, you unsubscribed because there are over 20,000 people sub to that individual. Oh, I think I missed something. I'm not getting that, but okay. So you must be talking about another YouTube channel where they're teaching this stuff. Again, I try not to put anybody else down. It's not my place to judge them. They're going on their journey, doing their best. And then again, it's up to us whether it fits our needs and serves our soul to follow them or not. So I'm just glad you guys are here. I really appreciate you because you're helping to get the message out to a greater audience. That's what it's about. Oh, so what else have we got? I need more questions, you guys. I'm almost out of them. Some people just need to follow somebody and others can see the truth directly from spirit. Yeah. And Harry's mom, there's no judgment about that because people are in all different stages of awakening right now. And the ones who are at the earliest stage just don't have the depth of experience to be able to make those choices. I remember when I was younger, I was so unconscious. It was just crazy. It was like I was in my own little bubble. I didn't know what was going on in the rest of the world, made poor choices because I didn't have the depth of experience. Like, here's a story. When I was a kid, I remember we'd be driving along in the station wagon because there were, 6 of us, 4 kids and the 2 adults, and a squirrel would run across the road and my dad would swerve to try and hit the squirrel. So I grew up thinking that was normal. I started driving. There's a squirrel. I try to hit the squirrel. And then somewhere later on, it just dinged me, that's really not a good thing to be doing. So I started awakening and realizing, oh, this is what I was taught, but it's really not a great choice. And I slowly started waking up and evolving from there. So we have a lot of people like that who are still unconscious. They haven't gotten it yet, but we can help them by modeling behaviors. We can help them by sharing the wisdom that we have learned. It's like, oh my gosh, in my 60s, it finally hit me that I'm finally that white-haired old lady that has something to share with people. And so many things, like I would share with people, when you get married and you're picking out your wedding dress, make sure you can dance in it. Because I got this dress, I swear to God, you guys, I was a big fan of Scarlett O'Hara and that ball gown that she wore with the ruffles. So my wedding dress was the ruffles and the, what do you call that? The hoop at the bottom. So it stood out. Great. I loved it. It was so me at the time, not anymore. But when it came time to dance, I couldn't get that thing out of the way to dance. And at one point, one of my friends, because I'm picking it up and flopping it over my arm to get it out of the way so I can dance, because I love to dance. And one of my friends came up and said, you just flashed everybody on that side of the room. So it was like, great. I gave up and didn't even dance. And I was miserable the rest of the reception. Just like such a little thing. Who would think about that, right? But yeah, make sure you can dance in it if that's important to you. So many little things like that in the grand scheme probably are not important. But, in those moments, they are important and we can share that wisdom with people. So that's part of what we're doing. We learn things and we share them with the upcoming generations. And I hope I didn't just take you off on a tangent that made no sense to you. Warrior Girl, I love how Metatron comes through using music and songs, and you watch another reader that channels him and he does the same. Isn't that cool? You know, I love it when I'm listening to somebody else and words come out of their mouth that are exactly the words I've heard when I'm in my sessions, because it's validation. It's good for all of us to get validation because we all have doubts. You know, sometimes I'll hear something that sounds really insane coming from them, and I have to wonder, did you really say that or did I make that up? And then I hear somebody else say it and it's like, okay, I can trust it. So that's important for all of us. And the music, I think they use the music because so many of us can relate to music. So they're always searching for metaphors or stories that we can relate to so that they can help us to get the message. That's why they use Disney stories a lot in meditations, because so many of us grew up watching those Disney stories. They're the archetypes there. There are, you know, all of those mythology stories that we can connect to. So when they tell the story and they use those elements, something in us, the light goes off and it's like, oh, I know what you're talking about. So that's why they do it. And I have to laugh at myself sometimes because I don't listen to new music. I don't listen to rap music. I'm all about old music. And one of these days it's going to be harder for them to share messages through music because I won't be sharing anything that's new. People are going to have to figure it out. Like there was one live we did where they were doing the name game and I'm trying to sing the name game to tell this lady about it. And her name was Patty. So I get to the part about fee, fi, fo, fatty, and I'm like, oh no, I can't believe that. That was not so good to say. And of course, it wasn't meant to be an insult or anything, but it's like, oh, that's probably not the most appropriate one to use anymore. But they like to use the name game a lot because the energy of it, the silliness of it, it's that energy and that feeling that they're trying to convey. So it does. But a lot of people don't know the name game anymore. So they're going to have to come up with some new songs to help me. I'm glad that helped, Warrior Girl. Spiritually, you just been said human domestication. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean domesticating the animals? And that's okay. You know, Creator gave us those animals to serve us in whatever way, not to abuse them, of course, but for them to serve us, whether it's by nourishing us or by carrying us, doing work with them, whatever. But that's why the animals are there. Susan, you're back. Yay. They're setting up your new bed. Super. Awesome. Glad you could come back. Warrior Girl, are there so many UFO sightings lately because of better tech or because they're trying to help Mother Earth going through her transition right now? I think it's the latter, Warrior Girl. I mean, we know they've always been around, but they are picking up the intensity of their connection with us right now because of where we're going. Things here are heating up, so we need more help. So it's partly that, but it's also, you know, partly because Earth is needing more assistance. So it's bringing that collective energy together to help all of us, to help Earth as well as us moving forward faster. And there's probably more to that, which we can delve into it at some point in time, but that's all I'm getting at the moment. But it's definitely purposeful. It's not just a random thing. So, and the other thing that's just now coming through is that we are simply more aware. So we're looking for them. You know, people in days gone by, yeah, there were a fringe few who were looking for them, who were awakened and knew about them. But by and large, the people were too busy just surviving, living their humdrum lives to even think about such things. But now, because of the internet and, you know, the global connection that we have because of the internet and telecommunications, we can share that with more people, which brings more into the fold. You know, I think Gene Roddenberry probably kicked a lot of it off with Star Trek way back when, which, you know, he was channeling a lot of that because it's so much of it's coming true, and there's no way that could happen unless he was channeling it. So I think he got a lot of that interest started, and then it's just kind of sparked throughout the years as more and more people awakened and started looking for more answers. And of course, now it's really exciting as people are starting to understand that they originated on another planet. They didn't originate on Earth. So they have all of this starseed legacy behind them. And that's pretty exciting to learn more about, as well as feeling that connection. So yeah, everything is expanding right now. And didn't I say this year, the word is expansion? Yeah, it's all about expansion. What about the channels that are sincere, but they start talking about Trump getting back in office? And these are people channeling known entities. That's Colleen. Oh, it's a different reality, Colleen. I guess that's the kindest thing I can say. And we know we create our own reality. So I think it was a year or so ago, a lady came on one of my Zoom calls and she asked me the question, is Trump a good president? So I guess it's a couple of years now when he was still president. And I didn't want to answer that question because I knew the answer was going to be, she creates her own reality. So in her world, he's a good president. Doesn't mean he isn't mine. It made me ill to answer that question, but I had committed to answering anything that they asked. And afterwards, I have to tell you, I felt dirty, even saying that, validating that for her. Let her get it from somebody else who believes it, right? So I had to think about that, and I took it to my team, and we talked about it. Ultimately, what came from that conversation was expansion and understanding that even though I had made the commitment and I'm sharing my gift, I've committed to doing that, I don't have to share my gift in ways that are harmful to me. And that was huge. So if that happened again, I could kindly say, I'm sorry, that's not a question I can answer. You need to find somebody who's in alignment with those beliefs to answer it. And I kind of think she was doing it because she knew that I didn't like Trump. I had said so. So I think there was a little bit of that energy behind it too, which also made it feel yucky. So yeah, we're all having to deal with that stuff. But for the psychics who are believing that, maybe that is their reality. I don't know. We can only guess. But what we can do is just not listen to them because it doesn't resonate with us. It's not helpful to listen to that. And if you heard the news today, hallelujah, Don Jr. and Ivanka got subpoenaed by Letitia James. So it's like, yay, we got something to celebrate today. And how many of the tarot readers predicted there were going to be things coming forth, subpoenas and such, in the beginning of January? So it's starting. We've got that to celebrate and look forward to, that maybe finally some justice is coming. But I don't want to go too far into that because, like I said, I try to keep this spiritual and not political, but it is part of us, so we can't totally ignore it. No more back problems for guests with your great bed. That's awesome, Susan. Metatron knows what songs that I like, and he gives the right decade for the songs. That's funny. Yeah. I like a lot of songs, but I'm also into big band era too. And I don't think anybody these days would know what I was talking about if I went into Benny Goodman, In the Mood. It's, yeah. Somebody once told me, one of the coaches said that when you're in this business, and although I don't call myself a coach, I kind of do some coaching, it's important to stay relevant, to stay on top of what's new and hot and trends and things. And I understand that, I respect that, but oh my gosh, my plate is already so full and I don't like that music. So no, I'm not going to listen to it. We're just going to have to find another way to connect. And I have faith that the team will figure something out. I mean, they can always tell me songs that I don't know, and I'll do my best to figure it out and translate it. So yeah, that's all happening. And the other thing, I think I told you guys about this before, that since I did the 21-day meditation and wrote the book, my gift has expanded and I'm getting more depth and more detail now. So I believe that's possible. They can start singing me songs I've never heard before, and I'll be able to translate it. Not quite there yet, but that could also come in the future. Callista, listening showed you a beautiful purple color stone that you've never seen before. Do colors mean anything? Do they help us know what type of message this is? That is beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Callista. Yeah, colors can mean a lot of things. So when you see a color, or in this case, it's a stone, the first thing I would do is ask yourself, does the color purple mean something to you? If it means something special to you, follow that line of investigation first. If it means nothing to you and it's one of the chakra colors, then look into that. How is that connected? What's going on? If it's not that, then Google the meaning or symbolism of that color and see what you can get, or do all of those things, because, keep digging until you get the information that lights the light bulb and says, oh, that's what that was about. So, and if you can't figure it out in the short term, just write it down, keep looking for it. But then you might want to also Google purple stones, because that could have a whole other set of meanings that might lead you to understanding what they're trying to tell you. So don't give up until you figure out what it is. There's a reason they shared that with you. It's important. And of course, purple is the color of royalty. Purple is the color that most of us think of in relation to metaphysical things. So it could be encouraging, inviting you to delve more into your connection with your team. That would be the first thing I would guess. But yeah, it's a message for you. So it's incumbent upon you to just dive into it. Keep investigating until you figure out the fullness of that message. And it might come in several parts. So just be prepared to put down what you've got now and wait for more to come. Hey, Linda, great you could join us. If you got questions, be sure and get them in there. Linda said, I love it when songs pop into my head. Yeah. And earworms. Earworms are very often your guides trying to get your attention. That's why it keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. So when that happens, stop and say, oh, my angels are trying to talk to me. What is this song about? You might have to look up the lyrics. You might have to Wikipedia to find out what's the story behind the creation of that song, the people who did it. You might have to do a lot of investigation to figure out why. Once you get it, the earworm goes away. It's just amazing. And it's so funny. It just one day that finally sunk in. That's what earworms are. Been getting them all my life and never, ever put that connection together. But, one day they dinged me and it finally clicked in. That's what that's all about. So it's really cool, the many and various ways that they use to get our attention. Warrior Girl, speaking of Star Trek, have you ever had communication with Ashtar, the Archangel in charge of the Galactic Federation? No. First I'm hearing about Ashtar, so I'm presuming that she is working with other people and doesn't have a need to connect with me. That's probably why. If the need comes, then that will happen. But for right now, it's Metatron is my main connection along with that team in the Akashic Records. But my connection with the Galactic Federation comes up in a couple of ways. My sole specialty is Elder Council member, which means that aside from my sole purpose that I'm here to fulfill, I volunteered, or Creator made me that way. It's kind of a combination, I think, to have an extra special responsibility. And that's connected with the Galactic Federation. So, part of the work that I'm doing now is connected to that. The only other time that Galactic Federation comes up for me is sometimes in readings. Another person will come up and they've got a soul specialty like that where they're connected in the same way. And then it's a matter of doing a little more digging to figure out, okay, so what's the extra special purpose that you agreed to that you're here for, so that we can greater understand that. But otherwise, it doesn't really come up very much. It came up a teeny bit when the Divine Feminine popped in. It was kind of alluded to, but otherwise, that's about it. So different things will come up for different people, and I don't understand why. It's, for them to figure out who needs to get in touch with us, when and why. So they do the picking. Although we can ask, if you've got an affinity that you feel for a certain archangel, for instance, you can call on them. It's perfectly fine. Don't ever feel like you can't, like you're too lowly to call on Metatron. No, everybody can call on Metatron. Everybody can call on any of the angels. They will pop up and serve you in the best way that they can. So that's available to everybody. Spiritually, human domestication is when humans domesticate other humans, usually at a young age. They teach us, don't do this, don't do that, smack our hands, give us a stern look, do something good to get rewarded. Yeah. Programming, right? Yeah. Thankfully, we're waking up to that. And we're doing better now. I know when I grew up, everybody spanked. That was just the norm. My husband, who grew up just a couple years before me, they didn't have spankings because he was in a different culture where they didn't do that. You know, my parents did spankings that were frankly child abuse. But you know, we're in a new time now. People are more aware of the harm that is done by that. And we're getting better. So yeah, all we can do is just keep lifting others up when they're ready to another level so that they stop doing that, because it just doesn't help. We're just creating more violent people. Susan, interesting story to learn from regarding 45. It does not help to try to please those who do not share our values. Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have to compromise ourselves, sacrifice our integrity, because that's something that they want from us. We are still sovereign and we can say no. It was just in my head, my ego was telling me, but you said you'd answer any question. Okay, so great. I did that. It felt rotten. I learned a lesson. Now I know that I can qualify that and I can say, yes, I did say that I would answer any question. I'm making an exception for this one because it's not good for me to do that. And I can't sacrifice myself to help you. So that was huge. So I'm not sorry I had the lesson, even though it felt crappy, but it was a huge learning experience and probably prevented something worse from happening in the future. Susan, Bette Midler did a lot of the big band music. Love her. And the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. Yeah. Company B, like boy, right? Yeah, it was great. I grew up listening to a lot of the big band stuff. And, you know, John Philip Sousa, Stars and Stripes Forever, that one comes up surprisingly somewhat often in meditations and in readings, because it's the energy of that song. It's so big and positive and upbeat, happy. There's just a lot of layers to that particular song. So it's funny how those things will occasionally come up. I also get from the Music Man, and you know, not many people these days know about the Music Man, but you know, 76 trombones comes up every once in a while. Harry's mom, I think you're a good coach. Thank you. Warrior Girl, I love that era of music too. Yeah. It's just such happy, upbeat music. It was more innocent. And of course, most of us, if we grew up with those things, have positive memories attached to it. So there's that as well. Callista, you just noticed my background is also purple. Yeah, I do purple a lot because I like purple. But this one I picked for tonight because we're starting the new year. And there's something about the energy of this pattern that kind of reminds me of Metatron and angels. So it kind of felt really like a positive thing to do for tonight as we're, as I said, kicking off this new year with all of the possibilities before us. There's so much laid before us that we can impact in a positive way, that we can participate in and experience. So despite the baubles that we've been warned are coming, there's a lot of good as well. And I have this feeling, it's not like they've said this to me, but I just have this energy feeling. I don't know even where it came from, but like something with the cues, it's going to break this year. That's not going to keep going forever. There probably will always be some of them, but it's like it's going to get chinked down. I don't know if they're going to have some big catastrophe like, you know, the Jamestown thing, but it feels like they're reaching their critical mass where there's going to be some sort of explosion and change things for them. So that would be really, really good if a lot of people could get freed from that mesmerization. Is that a word? They've been mesmerized. They're just so under the control of that way of thinking that they're not rational. So something's got to give to wake those people up. Warrior girl, purple means highly spiritual in a lot of cultures. Yeah. And amethyst. Amethyst is an important stone for a lot of people in the spiritual community. Yeah, I've always got some amethyst around. I just love it. There's something about it. Feels really good. I also have this selenite wand. I used this in one of my videos recently. I always have it here in front of me. I never think to get it out and use it. It just feels good to have it around. I was at the Worldwide Metaphysical Tribe gathering a couple of years ago in Chicago, and we had a speaker who was talking about connecting the day of the week that you were born to stones. And I was born on a Friday, so people who are born on a Friday, selenite is a good stone to have. So I picked one of these up, and there's just something about it. It really, I like having it around, so it's always here. Callista, you were thinking along that line that it was a confirmation about the spiritual nature of the group, a very strong image, and you don't see very much. So you don't see much and you have feelings. I think I said that right. Yeah, it could be. If that's how it interpreted for you, then that's perfect, Callista. Always go with your solar plexus. Does it feel true to you? And if that feels true to you, then that is the truth. And we appreciate you sharing it because it gave us this whole line of conversation to pursue. Susan, you were a teacher, so you were thrilled when kids talked to each other. Oh, that's so awesome, because a lot of teachers were not thrilled about that. And Susan says purple is also the color of royalty. Yeah. Your parents love the big band in Sinatra. Yeah. My parents were into country western, so I grew up listening to Conway Twitty and Hank Williams, not junior, senior. So it was a whole different thing. But yeah, there was a lot of beauty there and lessons that they shared in their songs. So it was just different. Callista, you love big band and the swing music. You saw the swing kids as a child and you've been hooked ever since. Yeah, well, if you feel that way, Callista, find some place where they're teaching swing dancing. Go do it. It is so wonderful. The feeling when you're doing that dance, if you love that music, there's just something about it. It just lifts you up. It's like you're dancing on air. I could do that all day. Waltzing to Nat King Cole's Answer Me, or the Fascination Waltz. There's just something about that. It's just got this very blissful feeling. And anything that feels like that has got to be really good for you. So as much as you can, lean into it, do it. It's just a great way to express your joyful spirit. You know, it's like that verse in the Bible, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Well, it has that same energy that dancing does. And isn't that interesting? Dancing is something that a lot of religions, but they banned it, they shunned it. You weren't allowed to do it. It was evil. And it's not. It's just the joy of your spirit that you're expressing with the world. Nothing evil about that. Warrior girl, beautiful. Your sons are all telepathic. You think each generation comes in more aware, spiritually speaking. And you think being in the group helps us all open to spirit. Yeah, absolutely. Because the energy, the collective energy, and you know, as powerful as it is here on the live stream, even more powerful on the Zoom calls. That's why I encourage you, if you're not on my list, to get on my list so that I can invite you to that Zoom call. Because when I can see you and make that connection, the information I'm able to get for you is an even deeper level. And plus the energy of that group, because they can all see each other. It's just off the charts amazing. And we always end that thing feeling like, you know, we're walking on air. It's just a phenomenal experience. We're vibing. Yeah, definitely, Callista. Gina, you haven't heard that before, connecting a stone to the day you were born? You'll look into that. Yeah, she did this fascinating presentation. Her name is Dawn Silver. If you're on Facebook, you can look her up. She does astrology and she also teaches on the stones. I think she talked for over an hour, and we were just glued to our seats listening to her because So fascinating. And there was more, of course, than just the day that you're born, but that alone was fascinating. And she had some kind of a formula that we could do to figure that out. I don't remember now, but it's been a while. My memory isn't so good in that area. Although I'm going to take that back because I don't want to curse myself with that. It's getting better in other areas as I lean more into the records, which is really interesting because there was a period of time with menopause where it felt like my memory was starting to fade. And then all of a sudden, like in the last year since doing that 21-day meditation, it's feeling way crisper, sharper. Things are coming faster that I was having to struggle with for a while. So that's been kind of a fascinating experience to have. I don't know if it's going to be the same for everybody, but I do think connecting with that energy of the records probably has some kind of a beneficial physical effect like that. So yeah, let's lean into it and do even more of it. Aaron Miss, selenite, if memory serve, is used to clear energy of other stones. You can rest crystal on them to cleanse the energy. And you like ragtime. Oh, that's cool. I like ragtime too. Yeah, I think it's something along those lines is what she was saying as well. But the funny thing is, it's a kind of a fragile stone, you know? I got another piece of it that was like this round chunk that was carved out. And by the time I got it home, a chunk had broken off, you know, a slab of it had broken off because it's so fragile. And I didn't realize that, which is an interesting contradiction. Now, this wand, because of the way it's cut, maybe because they went with the grain for the wand, it's way stronger. You know, I couldn't just break a hunk of this off. But the slice that they cut out, that was way more fragile because it was cut the opposite direction. Yeah, so it must be the grain that determines it. But that was kind of interesting. And you know, the whole thing about clearing crystals, that's another one of those things that people teach you. Never resonated with me, so I don't worry about it. My crystals are fine just the way they are. I don't ever feel I need to put them in the moonlight or anything. But if you do, then do that. I don't know where that came from, what the purpose is, but with all things that people teach you, even what I'm teaching you, take it with a grain of salt, run it through your filter and ask if that's true. And I think it goes back to because we are all wired differently, we have different truths. And it's incumbent upon us to figure out what they are and then go with them, because that will help us to further expand our awareness and our soul journey. So it's so fascinating, you guys. There are so many layers. And that's why I'm excited about what Susan's doing, because she's doing deep research in the records, and what she's going to bring forth is going to be phenomenal. Callista says, Aaron Miss, thank you for the information. You have a piece of selenite and you'll have to try it. Yeah, cool. Warrior girl, you got to go. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. See you soon. Aaron Missed, a lot of people believe the newer generation coming up are more spiritually aware, connected. Not sure, but they're definitely wiser. Yeah. I'm sorry, I missed that earlier. We were talking about that and I got distracted. It's absolutely true. And that's validated in the records. There's one soul group that represents those children that we call the indigo, the star children, crystal children, whatever those names are that people give them. They actually did come in more awakened, and now other soul groups are starting to as well. Something has shifted, and it's safe for them to now come in a more awakened state so they can hit the ground running and get there faster. And of course, we see now that we need that. They're going to have to come along quickly to help us to move out of this time that we're in into Earthtopia. So that's the reason. And just as we planned, our souls planned to be here at this time to go through this acceleration ascension process, they plan to come in at the other stage of it so that they can help from the other side. So we're leading on this end and they're coming up behind supporting us, which is really marvelous. You know, my granddaughter, who's 11, says things all the time that just astonish me. And I don't think she's that unusual. I think a lot of kids are doing that. We were watching for New Year's, we watched together Where the Wild Things Are. She'd never seen it. So we watched it. And if you know it, it's this little boy who is raging because his parents are divorced and he's wanting attention, and he's expressing himself through acting out in very inappropriate ways and howling and screaming like an animal. And then he runs off and he has this adventure with these creatures where he learns a little more respect and empathy, compassion for other people. So her parents also are going through a divorce. So as soon as this started, she really resonated and connected with this boy's story, and she wanted to help him, and she understood how he felt. But this time that story was over, she said to me, wow, that movie really has me rethinking my life choices. Like, oh my God, you're 11 years old. What life choices? But she had been disrespectful to her grandpa earlier in the day. And I think partly that, but also partly the way she is processing her parents' divorce. It just gave her a whole new perception. At 11 years old, I would never have even thought about those things. I would have had my head buried in a book and been oblivious to what was going on around me. So it's a huge difference in their awareness. And now we get to nurture them and help bring them along from our more enlightened place. So there's a real beautiful symmetry to that. And perhaps that's why there are so many people in the 55 and above who are opening up spiritually so they can meet those children where they are and help them, because that middle generation, a lot of them have not stepped into this awareness yet. Some have, but not nearly as many as from the other generation. So it's been quite a fascinating journey. Harry's mom, can we connect with ourselves from past lives? I mean, with the spirit self in the past life, even as we are here in the now through mediumship. Yeah, you absolutely can, Harry's mom. You call it mediumship. I would call it just going into the records. So you go into the records. You can either call upon the person that you want to talk to, and that can literally be one of your previous selves. You can also call upon your team, any member of your team, any group from your team, anybody you want that you can think of that would be helpful to come and help you connect to that information. For myself, I haven't gone looking for specific lifetimes. When it's happened for me, it's been a spontaneous thing. It's just all of a sudden I'll get this download and I see this story of one of my past lives. When it happens, it's connected with something that they need to share with me in that moment, some lesson I don't need to learn, connecting some dots or something. So that's how it happens for me, but you can absolutely go in purposefully looking for it. When I do the past life karma readings, that's what I do. I go down this laundry list of issues to see if they've got them, the blocks and restrictions that are holding them back in the present life. So I make my list of all the issues. Then I go into their records and I investigate to find out what lifetime did it happen? What gender were they? What age did this trauma happen? Because it's always related to some kind of a trauma. And then who are the players in the story? Did they do something? Was something done to them? You know, we get all those details. Then once we have the details of that story, it can be cleared to resolve that karma for them, which then will positively impact them in the present because it will release all those blocks and restrictions. There are usually multiples, but it's not everything. Because if you think about it, when you go into your records, if you were to say, show me all of the traumas from all of my past lives, that would probably kill you. That's a lot. But what comes forward is what you're ready to release and clear right now. So it's a chunk. And it can be a very overwhelming chunk, particularly if you tap into a lifetime where you were not such a good person. Maybe you killed somebody or accidentally maimed somebody. You know, all kinds of stories come up. And there's no judgment about that because we've all been through all of those things. That's how we got to this enlightened state we're at now. But yeah, you can. So everything about you is available through your records. It's just a matter of developing a routine that works for you where you first get into the records and then you connect with what you need. Like one time I went in and I went down this hallway. I was seeing it as a library back then. Went down this hallway to door number 72. And of course, that had some meaning. And I met Freud. Freud and I had a conversation about grief. So later, when I wanted more information, I was able to go back to that room, call on Freud, and he came again and we picked up our conversation. So you can do that. Your team will accommodate you. Just go there and ask for whatever it is you want. Do it a step at a time, break it up into chunks because it's a lot to absorb sometimes. But absolutely, we all have the right to do that. What's missing is the toning of the muscle, the dexterity, the flexibility to see it, to understand it, to translate it, to trust it. And that just comes with time and practice. So just start doing that, asking for little things in the beginning, and over time it will expand. But it's your absolute right to be able to access anything you want from your records. Now, I should say with a caveat, they may not tell you exactly what you're looking for. They may give you something slightly different only because you're not ready to hear that yet, or it might be damaging for you to get that information right now. So they're never going to give you anything that's going to hurt you. They will give you what you're ready for. So it's just like when we ask to manifest things, we don't always get exactly what we ask for. It's always better, but sometimes it looks quite different because our team brought us that thing that we actually needed rather than what we thought we wanted. So there's always that overriding blessing from our team happening on our behalf. Kathy, you've got selenite bowls that you put small crystals into charge. Oh, that's really cool. And are the bowls strong, Kathy? Or are they subject to cracking? That would be really interesting to see. Aaron, Miss selenite is very brittle, so you have to be careful around water. Oh, that's interesting. So water softens it and makes it more susceptible, huh? That's interesting. Rituals are great only if they're helpful. Yeah, absolutely. So, again, when people tell you things have to be this way and that way, always ask yourself, is that true for me? And, I just want to add this too, you guys. That's not only about spiritual stuff, that's about everything. Because people will tell you stuff all the time. It has to be this way, has to be that way. Well, maybe it did for them, but maybe it doesn't for you. We're accelerating and moving forward. So old understanding and ways of doing things are falling away constantly. But if we didn't stop and ask ourselves the question, we could easily just follow along that path, which wouldn't serve us. So we're in a time now where Metatron says, question everything. Because what's true for you may not be true for somebody else, and vice versa. So it's super wise to ask a lot of why questions. Is that true? If so, why? Really delve into that. And some people will tell you that it's not such a good thing to be asking why all the time. Well, not true. If you need to know why, you ask why. And because I'm wired to be a researcher, I've been asking why all of my life. So to me, this is very normal. But it's irritated more than a few people through the years. It's like, why do you keep asking why? Well, why do you have a problem with me asking why? I need to know why. I need to understand. That's why I'm asking. It's not frivolous. So if you feel a need to know why, yeah, go for it. Ask. And ask your team, ask all the people and figure it out. Because if you're feeling that call to ask why, to understand at a deeper level, there's always a reason. It's not random. There's very little. I don't know if there's anything that's really random, because our guides are always bringing these things for us to help us move forward. So yeah, probably nothing is really random. It's all part of the scheme in one way or another. Colleen, can anybody access their records? Absolutely. It's just developing the skill and the trust to believe what you get, Colleen. That's the trick. So I don't know if you were here earlier when we talked about the 21-day meditation challenge. That is a fabulous, fast way to start accessing your records. And that's why Metatron gave it to us, because more people need to access their records right now, ASAP. So let's cut through all the crap. Let's do it faster. That's what that was about. So the answer is yes. The caveat is you've got to practice. You've got to get to the place where you know what it feels like. You know what you can trust is your guides and what's your ego. It's separating all that out. But doing that 21-day meditation challenge cuts through all of that stuff and gets you there way faster. It was phenomenal with the beta group, how people had breakthroughs who had never been able to do it before. And that's the brilliance of Metatron. So very grateful for that one. Linda, water dissolves selenite. Wow. It would be interesting to find out the chemical makeup of selenite, that it would be dissolved by water. It's really interesting. I know nothing about it, so maybe I need to research selenite a little bit. I just accepted that it was a good stone for me to have, and that felt good, so I did it. But now you're making me think I need to investigate a little bit more. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Kathy, you haven't had any problems with the bowls. You've got a plant next to one of them and it grows fast. How interesting. So that's something more to look up about selenite. What kind of energy is it emitting? You know, what's that about? And is there a consciousness? There probably is. So more questions to be answered. Let me get a quick sip here. Kathy, you have premonition dreams. They become real anytime from the next day to several months. Why do you have them and what are you supposed to do with them? Well, it's a gift or you wouldn't have it. That's the first thing to know. But what you do about it is up to you. We all get to use our gifts in the way that feels best to us. So ask yourself, if I know it's going to come true, what would be the best thing to do about it? What would feel best to me? Does it feel best to keep it to myself? Does it feel best to share it? And experiment if you're not sure. Just try different things until you find your rhythm of what you're supposed to do with it. What I would say is it would probably be very wise to write them down. You probably do that already. But if you're not, write them down in as much detail as you can. That may not be important right now, but down the road, it probably will be. It could be they're all connected in some way that you can't see when you look at them individually. They don't happen for no reason. Like I said, there's nothing that's random. There's a reason you're getting them. So you get to choose what you do about that, whether you share them or keep them. And maybe you write a book someday about all these dreams you've had and then connect the dots to what they were about. There are some people who have the gift of being a dream master. And what that means is they actually can go into the dreams of other people. Part of what they do, it's what they're wired to do, is to help other people through their dreams. I've only met one person with this gift so far, but when I described to her what I know about it, she said, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I've been doing it all my life. Now that she knows that's what it is and she understands it. Well, she understood it before, but we talked about it and helped to crystallize it a little more for her. Knowing that, she can purposefully do it. It's not just kind of happening without her involvement, like an involuntary thing. She's purposefully doing it when she feels led to do it. And it happens during her sleep, of course. So she's traveling through the astrals, connecting with people in their dreams and helping them. And how amazing is that? Of course, I wonder, that means she's probably not having her own dreams. It's like living vicariously through other people's dreams, but maybe being wired that way, she doesn't have the need to. So that would be a cool question to ask her about. See, there's always more questions, more to learn constantly. I mean, I have this whole curriculum of information I learned when I started doing my soul introduction readings. And there's still so much to be learned. What I got was the curriculum that was available at the time. Since then, when I do readings, I get new downloads of information every now and then that I can add to my knowledge base. So I'm learning more. But part of what I'm planning to do when I can carve out the time is to actually do some purposeful research, go in and get more information about all of the tribes, because I'd like to know more. I mean, some of them I have just this much information, others I might have this much. I know there's more to be gleaned. I haven't been able to devote time to that because Metatron's had me off on this other assignment but I think some time is going to open up to do that. So it's going to be really interesting to see what comes from that and how much more we can expand our understanding. So, Colleen, is it a particular meditation? You mean to access the records? There is an access prayer that you can use, and that's in the book, the 21-day meditation challenge. Actually, the title of the book is The Path to Hearing Angels and Guides, 21 Days of Meditation. You see, I think I might have the link for that, so you can go look at it. I have a link here with all the books, so that will be one of them that will show up for you. So just read what it says there about the meditation challenge. In the book are the opening and closing prayers for the records. Good place to start, and I explain that in the book why. But it is meditation. That's how you're connecting. I mean, some people are able to connect without literally going into a meditation. It's just like a shifting of their thoughts. While they're doing other things, they're getting downloads. And I get that sometimes, but when I'm really wanting to get a lot of information, then I sit down purposefully and allot the time to meditate just to see what's going to come through, because sometimes you might get 1 minute's worth and sometimes you might get half an hour, 45 minutes or more. So it greatly varies, but mainly it's like setting aside the time, making the commitment, doing it. When you show up on a regular basis, your team will show up and communicate with you. And then it's just practicing, learning how it feels, interpreting that, because you have to translate what you get. It never, well, I shouldn't say never, rarely comes through like in plain English, because they can't tell you what to do. They can only make suggestions and guide you towards things. That's why they use metaphors a lot. So they're telling us a story. They're, kind of wooing us along with music and things like that to help us go in the right direction, but they can't outright say, do this. So that's one of the fun parts of the whole process. Hey, Jenny, glad you could join us. Susan, it's exciting to do this kind of research. Yeah, well, I imagine it's a lot like what you're doing. It's the thing about the records is they have many access points. So depending upon the prayer you use, the intention that you bring, you're going to a different access point in the records. So part of the researching is learning which access point to use to get what information. And we can only do that by experimenting and figuring it out. So when I'm dowsing, it's a different access point than when I go in meditation and go looking for things. And different prayers, I have noticed what I experience has different texture. The messages are different. The feeling is different. So it all depends. And again, you just got to practice and figure it out. But you're mapping your access points as you're going in. You're quantifying, measuring, bringing all of that together, because that's part of where your curiosity and your inquiry is going, which is really fascinating. So you have to write a book about this, Susan. I know you were reluctant, but you're just going to have to write a book because the rest of us want to know. Callista, you need to research the Dream Master. Yeah. The caveat with that, Callista, when you Google these things, and for all of you, there's a lot of crap out there and there's a lot of truth out there. So run it through your solar plexus to see if what you're getting feels true to you. I especially tell people that with regard to their starseed status. Here's the planet you came from. I can tell you that in the reading, and I can give you all the information I have. Then you can go Google it, but just be wise and know that, like we were talking earlier, some other people in their channels and things they're sharing just seem so totally off the wall. So just have that responsibility to yourself, that you run it through your truth filter and decide what feels true to you. Because from one person to the next, it can be different. So that's your responsibility as the sovereign soul. And I don't know what's out there about Dream Masters because I have not Googled that, but I imagine there's probably going to be something. If you join the Facebook group with the meditation challenge, The lady who is the dream master is in that group. So if you join, send me a note and remind me, and I will connect the two of you, and you can talk to her about it, because I'm sure she'd be happy to talk to you. Linda, you just got the books and you're looking forward to getting started. Awesome. Perfect time at the beginning of the year. It will just set the tone for you for the rest of the year. And those 21 days will go really fast. You will be amazed at all the shifts that happen to you. And for me, when I did it, I mean, I've done it before. I had done it the first time when I wrote the book. Then I did it again with the beta group. Doing it with the group somehow raised the level of it. And I had some new breakthroughs and memories from back when that were important healing moments. And I wasn't expecting that, because you think, well, I've done it before. What more is there? There's always more, you guys. We are so many layers of stuff. And we only can go one layer at a time, because each time we go through a layer, we get those new understanding, those new healings. We've got to take a little time to absorb it, let it percolate before we're ready to go again. So think about it. If you've had thousands of lives, there's a lot of stuff to go through. Not that we have to go through every single one, but there's a lot of stuff. So it's just going to keep processing in those layers. So each time you do it, you're going to get more. In fact, I was thinking about maybe starting another 21-day group session, maybe next Monday. What do you think? You guys want to do that? You want to go through it again or not? Just let me know. I'm probably going to do it myself. And, if we all want to do it and share, that would be awesome. I know some people are already in the midst of it, but we can still do it as a group again if you want to. So let me know your thoughts about that. Janny, do you feel that it needs to be the same time each day? I haven't gotten a sense for that. It being meditation. Totally up to you, Janny. Some people will tell you that you've got to get up and do it first thing in the morning. You need to do it before you get out of bed. You have to do it at the same time every day. No, those are somebody else's rules. You feel for what works for you. I tend to do mine later at night because I'm not a morning person. If I tried to do it in the morning before I got out of bed, I'd fall asleep and I wouldn't do the meditation. And I'm purposefully going because I want that information. I need to be awake and alert to do it. So I tend to do it, maybe later in the day, like 2 p.m. or something. That's when I'm really awake and going. And maybe I do it at midnight because I'm still awake and going at that point. So feel for yourself, and it can change day to day because your schedule changes. So one day you may need to do it a different time for whatever reason. So let all those rules go. The important thing is that if you're going to go through and do the challenge again, you make the commitment to yourself and to your team that you'll show up and do it. That doesn't mean you have to be so rigid that you can't miss a day if something happens, because we have to accommodate life. Sometimes things happen and you just can't do it for whatever reason. Like when I did it last year, we had gone to Brooklyn for Christmas and we got back like at 11 o'clock. So I was doing a little work when I got back. And then when I was ready to settle down and do that day's meditation, I could not stay awake. So I had to say, sorry, Metatron, can't do it tonight. And that was okay. We have to be kind to ourselves. But if you can do 21 consecutive days, so much the better. Just always remember being kind to yourself. So you don't want to go so far that you give yourself all these outs and you end up skipping a lot of days and you never finish. So keep it as tight as you can, but do allow yourself that grace if you need to skip. Hope that makes sense. Callista, you guess it could get you to a lot of interesting sites. Oh, yeah, because the internet is just amazing, ins and outs and chasms and catacombs, right? All kinds of things. So yeah, just discernment would be good. And you can always come back to these calls and ask questions about it. Get on the third Saturday calls, Callista. That's the link that I shared. I'll share it again. If you're not on my mailing list, get on my mailing list so I can invite you to the Zoom call where I can see your face and we do personal questions on those. So you can ask about all that stuff. And then you also get to know the behind the scenes stuff because I share that with the people in my mailing list because they are my VIPs. If you are willing to share your email with me, then you get VIP treatment from me. The Facebook group, Christine is asking, that is the support group for the 21-day meditation challenge, which is from the book, The Path to Hearing, Angels and Guides. So let me know if you know about the book. The link is in there to join. And it's for people who are doing the challenge to support each other, to share their experiences, to ask questions, which is so helpful, because if you're having these experiences and you don't know how to judge it, what does it mean? What do I do with it? If you get stuck, what do you do next? People share those things in the group, and you can ask questions, of course, because we want to facilitate your journey through the 21 days. Because for all of us, doing this process is helping us to accelerate faster so that we can all together bring forward Earthtopia faster. So isn't it amazing the way Metatron has connected all these dots? And it always comes back to, hey, gang, we want to get you to Earthtopia faster. So this is what we're doing. We're bringing all these components together to help you. So by all of us helping each other, we are helping the grand plan, that prophecy to come true, which is just so marvelous. Some days, I tell you, I'm just aghast and amazed. It's just gobsmacked, I guess is the best word, at the brilliance of Metatron putting all these pieces together. I never would have seen that in a million years. It's amazing. Susan, you would do it again, the meditation challenge. Awesome. Awesome. So I guess I'll just announce it in the group that we'll start on Monday, and whoever wants to join us can. And then we'll just start sharing again. And probably Metatron will have more messages to share as we go through the days. So that will be fun to see what comes. Linda, you don't have Facebook. Is there a way to be part of the Facebook group because you're technically challenged? Not really, because that would mean I would have to cut and paste all the messages and share with you, and that's just an overwhelming task. So could you sign up for Facebook and don't tell anybody, just come into that one group to follow? Because there's nothing technical that you have to do. You just need to show up in the group, read the messages, and share whatever it is that you're going through. Alternatively, if you absolutely cannot do that, then you can come to our live streams. You can come to the Zoom meeting. We can talk about it there. So that would be not as good, but at least you could get to share and ask questions that way. That's all I can think of at the moment. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. Honestly and truly, I don't like Facebook. I would have done this on another platform if I could have, but when I tried to do that with my membership group, I set up this special software where we could all come and we could talk and we didn't have to deal with Facebook. Nobody used it. So it's like, I can't fight the world. Nobody's going to use it. So I spent all this time creating this special place. They're not using it. And there are alternatives to Facebook, but people don't like them. So they don't use them. And, we always end up, some portion of people are not going there. So sadly, Facebook is the most congruent one we can use at the time. If that changes in the future, I will be all aboard. I've got to tell you. So if you find one, let me know. I know there's Slack, but Slack is just, I don't know, it's like antiseptic. It reminds me of the old-fashioned bulletin boards where you've got just lines and lines of messages, and it's so dense. It's really hard to follow and get value out of it. I find that more overwhelming than Facebook with all those messages being thrown at you. Janny, you seem to have different experiences depending on the time of day. That is really cool. So tell us about that in the group. That would be a fun discussion to have. What are the different experiences? Is that a good thing? Is it a neutral thing? What do you notice about it? Does it help you to have greater understanding of the messages in the, overall? Or is it just, it feels different? So let us know what that means. That would be fascinating. And you're on board for doing it again. Awesome. I thought you might be. Callista, you would do it. You only made it 10 days, but you didn't have a group, and support would be helpful. Yeah, that's why we have the group, because just popping in there and sharing about what you experienced and then reading other people's, it just excites you and ignites that desire to follow through and get it done. Even though we had people who joined us late in the game, they just kept coming, and then we were still there sharing with them. So yeah, look forward to that. It's kind of been really quiet in that group, except for a handful of people like Janny and Susan and Nina and probably a few other people I'm forgetting at the moment who show up and they post somewhat regularly so that we still know what's going on. But when we do the new group, it'll revive again and we'll have a lot more information. And it will be really cool, you guys, for those who have already done it, to share their experiences of the different layers and the different levels they're feeling the second time or even the third time if they've done it again through. So that's something we don't really know about yet either. So it'll be exciting. Of course, with the Akashic Records, it's never dull. It's always exciting. Christina, you don't know about the book. You just started listening. You're interested. Let me paste the link for the books again. I have that here somewhere. Where did it go? It's so funny. I just had it a little bit ago. Oh, here it is. So this link, Christina, takes you to Amazon. It will show you all three of my books, but look at the one that is The Path to Hearing Angels and Guides. That will give you an idea for what we're talking about. It was something that I did with Metatron last December that became the book, and then we did the challenge in the Facebook group. So it was all Metatron's idea, his brainchild, and we're just here carrying it forward and using it to help other people. But it's a phenomenal way to accelerate your progress at accessing your own Akashic records. Because for years, I was asking my guides, how do I teach people how to channel? All these people wanted to know how to channel. They had it as part of their gift, but they weren't fluent enough. There was something missing. There was a disconnect. And I could not for the life of me come up with a curriculum to teach them to channel because everybody does it differently. It's not like you can do it by rote. There's got to be that flexibility of doing it differently. So Metatron created this 21-day challenge to help us all do it. And it's magical. It's easy. It just spontaneously unfolds as you show up and you do the challenge. So that's why we need to get more people doing it. Share this with everybody you know that could use it. Get them on board doing this challenge, because that's going to bring more people into the fold so that we can facilitate Earthtopia. Like I said, Metatron connected all those dots. That's the grand plan. There's probably more that I haven't heard about yet, but that's what I know so far. And it's just this marvelous plan to see all those pieces. And to be part of it, of course, that's exciting too. Callista says to Christina, we can help you. Absolutely. Thank you, Callista. That's beautiful. My take on, you came from Joanne Moore's group? Yeah. Joanne is in the challenge. She took it with us a while back. And I actually spoke about it on the summit that she did. So some people might have gone through that summit and heard it there. Anyway, yeah, we would love to have you join us. Happy New Year back to you. Thanks for being here. Harry's mom, do we meditate alone or as a group? That's totally up to you, Harry's mom. Most of us in the challenge, we're doing this on our own because, of course, you know, we're not together. One thing I was thinking about, now that you've mentioned it, is my friend Laura took a group through it. Was it last month? I think it might have been last month. She did the challenge with her group, and they did a weekly Zoom call so they could get together and they could discuss what's going on with them in their meditation. So we could do that. You guys up for that? We just schedule once a month, or once a week rather, as you're going through the challenge, and that would help you. We can do that. We just have to figure out what day. So let me know if you want to do that, and then I'll look at my schedule and figure out what would be a good day to do it. And then we can get together, and maybe Fridays would be a good day because I don't have any other things scheduled on that day. So that could work. Let me know. I'm all for it. Anything we can do to facilitate you getting on board with connecting with your records and your angels. It's super important right now because there's so much bigotry and hate and corruption out there. This is how we battle it. This is how we overcome it with love and light. If you haven't already, go to my YouTube channel and listen to the peace process. That's a love letter from Archangel Metatron, and it's all connected to this. It's what we're about. We're all extending our abilities and our connection so that we can facilitate this peace process for the whole world. And we're going to spread it person to person like a positive infection. This is how we are overcoming what's going on out there with all the fear, with the virus, et cetera, et cetera. So listen to that or watch that. And if you prefer to read, it's on Medium. You can read it. Which reminds me, Janie, I posted earlier in the thread a link to the 2020 forecast for Metatron that just went up on Medium today. So you can read that. Let's see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here it is. I'll give you the link to it. So if you're somebody who prefers to read rather than watch videos, you can do that. I just started about a month ago, dual posting. So the video and the article on Medium so that you can find both of them. I don't have them all yet, but I'm working on it and there's more to come. Janny, just different. It's also different between being inside or outside. Winter really changed things. Yeah, I imagine it would. I would maybe in a separate journal, Janny, write down what you notice that's different and see if any commonalities spring from that offers you greater insight or a different message. Because just the very fact that you're noticing it enough to talk about it means something. And for all of you, that's how your angels connect with you. It's because all of a sudden something catches your attention. It's like you stop and you take a breath and you notice something just for that moment and then you move on. But the fact that you stopped and you noticed it, that was not random. That is how your angels connect with you. They're doing it all the time. So that's why it's important to be present in the moment. And when you have that time when you just stop and it's like, oh, that caught my attention. Interesting. What's that about? Make a note of it. Go back and ask questions or, Google the symbolism, et cetera, et cetera. Don't just let it go. It was for a reason. They're trying to connect with you. And the more you notice and take action on what you noticed, the more you will get. That's how it starts. So just keep doing those little things, baby stepping your way until you're having ongoing two-way dialogues with your team, because that's possible for everybody. You can just sit down and say, okay, I'm here. Let's have a chat. It really can be that easy for you, but it takes practice because you're building the muscle. You're building the trust. That's what it's all about. Spiritually, you're on your second day. You do it at night because in the morning, when you do it, you feel motivated and energized, but at night you do it and you have dreams. Oh, that's cool. So it's affecting your dreams. That's really awesome because they're working with you on the astral planes in your dreams. So if you're aware of it, that's even more amazing. Are you having lucid dreams? Is that what you're describing for us? Let us know. Jenny says it will also raise the earth vibration. Absolutely. All the work that we're doing to bring peace, love, and harmony is positively impacting earth because it gets us out of her way so she can do what she's got to do. And, all this disruption on earth, the tsunamis, the earthquakes, the volcanoes, the seismic things that are happening, even the drastic weather shifts, that is all earth trying to compensate for what we've done to her and heal herself. So if we get out of the way and let her heal faster, all of that will right itself faster. Because at the beginning of the pandemic, when we all pulled back and hunkered down, she started doing some amazing things really fast. If you look back at the stories during that time, the one that sticks with me is that dolphins showed up in the canals of Venice. And that hadn't happened in very, very long time because of the pollution. So other things like that, the reefs, the coral reefs started healing that were, on the edge of going extinct. All these things started reversing. And that was a very short period of time that we shut down. So just imagine if we send this sonic wave of love, peace, joy, and harmony across the earth, get the people calmed down on the right energetic path, Earth will be able to drastically accelerate her healing and her expansion, because she's expanding to fourth dimensional energy, just as we are. We're all doing this together. And it's way more unpleasant. It's more challenging, more difficult if we're not in that alignment. So that's really important. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't believe it's after 9 o'clock already. So we should start winding down. I told David we'd be finished by 9. Callista, is it a private group? The Facebook group, yes, it is a private group. You have to be invited in. But in the book is a link for you to come into the group. So you just hit that link and then I'll bring you in and you can share with us. That would be awesome. And if you're talking about the Zoom, once you join our group, I've got your email so I can send you the link and invite you to the Zooms. So you would be able to participate in all of that, as well as those third Saturday Zooms where we do the personal calls. Those are always so much fun because, you know, people will ask questions about things in their lives and others who are listening will say, wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And then they still get to come and ask their question too. So, and the cool thing about them is that not everybody shows up at once. You know, I'm inviting hundreds of people to this Zoom call. Usually we end up having between 20 and 40 people, which means everybody gets to ask a question. And very often we go around and they get to ask a second question. So it's not like there's hundreds of people are there. I could only have 100 on Zoom anyway, but it's not like there are so many people that you don't get to ask your question. That's what's really wonderful. So come, bring your questions and experience that beautiful energy. It will just lift you up and you will float through your whole weekend afterwards. It's just delightful. Christina, you will get the book. Awesome. You will be so glad you did. It's such an amazing journey. Colleen, you'd like to do that. We would love to have you. Harry, it's mom. Yes, a group meditation sounds good if it's not too late. You're in Europe. Okay. Send me an email, Harry's mom. Let me know what's a good time for you because you suggested it. I want to make sure you can join us. So let me know. I can accommodate you. Yes, it's some people won't be able to come and that'll always be the case. But because you brought it up, I want you there. So please email me. Jenny, you like the idea? Awesome. Spiritually you, yes, lucid dreams, very bright, vivid dreams of blue and gold, orbs speaking with you, and it feels real. Then it is real, right? We talked about this a while back that when you go to the Akashic records, your soul is leaving your body temporarily. You are literally traveling to the fifth dimension. You are there. What you experience is real. It is not a dream. It is not a fantasy. It's real. You're having those two experiences, right? So when you're doing it through lucid dreams, you're connecting with your team in the fifth dimension or on the astral planes. That's real. It's just a different reality, but it's every bit as real as what we're doing here. And for all of us, I think it's important to have that experience because it not only helps you with, you know, living this third dimensional life, but it's just, it enriches your life. It helps you to expand. It makes you more fluid and flexible as you're able to go in and out and be able to bilocate, they call it, to be in both places. Yeah, so it's all expansion. That's what all of this is about. And there again, expansion. And if you were late, expansion is the word of the year for me. And because I'm sharing all this with you, it can also be your word, but it's the word that they brought forward. Last year was flow and ease. The whole year was about flow and ease. So we did that for a year and now we're moving into expansion, which is perfect. One follows the other beautifully. So that's what we're doing now. We're expanding and it's very exciting because we're just getting started. So who knows where we're going to be at the end of this year. Whole other ball of wax. You are so welcome, Harry's mom. I look forward to actually seeing you face to face. That would be so delightful. All right, you guys. Well, it's 9:15, so I think I'm going to call it a night. Now, don't forget, get signed up for my third Saturday Zoom call because we will do personal questions there. And doing that also, you're going to be, well, no, you won't. I take that back. getting into the Facebook group if you're not already there, or letting me know that you want to be involved. So if you're one of those people like Linda, who doesn't have Facebook and just cannot manage to do it, send me your email. Tell me that you've got the book, you're doing the challenge, and you want to be included on the Zoom calls that we're going to do once a week. And we'll do the 3 of them at least. We may probably do a little more than that because we'll want to continue the momentum. I don't think we'll do them every week after that, but we will do them for some period of time. So make sure you get me your email if you can't do Facebook. But I hope you can do Facebook because you'll get so much more sharing with all the people in the group as well. All right, so I've babbled on long enough. Thanks you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. It was a delight spending the evening with you, and I'll see you very soon. Bye. You are so welcome. There we go.